Welcome to JW Broadcasting. We're so happy you could join us.
Yes, Joel, but we don't have an hour to waste listening to your new pink tie. These couple of segments of this month's JW Broadcasting are here to reaffirm that no respectable Jehovah's Witness should be getting higher education. And we'll go through how he manipulates his audience and the actual reason why Jehovah's Witnesses aren't supposed to go to college. And it's not just because it gives them reason and skills to leave the cult, it has to do directly with how this cult makes money. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's begin.
This is the March 2025 edition of JW Broadcasting.
This month's JW Broadcasting starts with Joel Dollinger sporting a brand new beard. Joel is a helper to the service committee, and that committee is the most evil committee in the Jehovah's Witness cult, since that's the one that is in charge of hiding all of the CSA happening inside this religion. So I don't like Joel very much. And that's before we know what Joel is talking about.
Our theme this month is Keep Seeking Great Things for Jehovah. It's based on some powerful advice that Jehovah gave to a man named Baruch.
No, it's not. Obviously, this speech is about doing more for the cult, disguised as doing more for Jehovah. However, Jehovah's Witnesses always pretend that their talks are based on the Bible, when in reality, they're only based on their weird and nonsensical interpretation of the Bible. In this case is Baruch. You know Baruch, Jeremiah's sidekick? He was a scribe of Jeremiah, transcribing everything Jeremiah said into a scroll and being a symbol of faith and resistance in the face of adversity. He even read out loud what he wrote for multiple people.
When the princes of Judah heard what Baruch had done, they wanted to hear the message firsthand. So Baruch read it out loud again. As soon as they heard it, the account says, they looked at one another in dread.
So, you get it. Baruch was a scribe, which was rare because most people didn't know how to read or write, and he was Jeremiah's sidekick. And that is the first lesson that Joel extracts from this story. Are you confused and don't know what the lesson should be? It's that you, like Baruch, should do whatever the cult tells you to do, of course.
Like you, brothers and sisters, Baruch was happy to support Jehovah's work and to do whatever was asked of him. He did not let his family status or personal goals distract him.
Yeah, I mean, those are never mentioned in the Bible, but if we imagine that Baruch had different personal goals, then we can pretend that he put those aside by working with Jeremiah. But there is one thing that Baruch actually experienced in the Bible that Jehovah's Witnesses experience too. Suffering.
This is what Jehovah, the God of Israel, says concerning you, Baruch. You have said, woe to me, for Jehovah has added grief to my pain. I am weary from my groaning, and I have found no resting place. Why was Baruch feeling like that? Was he getting tired of his assignment?
Yes, was Baruch tired of his Jehovah's Witness assignment from the governing body? It's insane how even reading the Bible, they insert their own messages. But you get it, Baruch was tired because of the persecution that him and Jeremiah had suffered. God then told him to stop looking for things for himself because he was burning the whole thing down anyway. But that's not the Jehovah's Witness reading.
What reason did Jehovah give for Baruch's feelings? It was not the assignment itself, or even his circumstances. In verse 5, Jehovah said, you are seeking great things for yourself. Think about that. It was Baruch's own view of what seemed great or most important. For a time, he was focused on seeking great things for himself. What do you think those great things could have been? Was it a desire for fame or prestige? Was he sensing that his support for God's prophet was putting at risk his position and career? Or did the great things have to do with getting more money, property, or some material possessions? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, but we can speculate that it was something very similar to whatever reason you might have to not dedicate your whole life to this cult. That's what the Jehovah's Witness lesson is in this story. And they even tell you what Baruch was thinking to show you what you should be thinking.
I imagine him reasoning something like this. Jehovah knows my thoughts and feelings. have I really been seeking great things for myself? It's true. Jehovah's always right. My desires got the better of me, and I was so distressed. But Jehovah's kindly telling me, Baruch, be realistic. A divine judgment is coming. Everything that seems so stable will be uprooted. Material things, property, money, or a prominent career, it's all temporary. Seeking those things is dangerous. Jehovah wants me and others to survive the coming calamity. And that's what I want.
This is here not because it's in the Bible. This is the Jehovah's Witnesses doing what you are not supposed to do and go beyond Scripture. What for? Well, so they can tell their followers what they should be thinking, of course. They should be thinking that they shouldn't do what they want to do if they want to survive. Instead, they need to do what the governing body wants them to do, which is usually to work for free for this cult, doing whatever menial job they have for you. If you want to do something that actually generates money for you and your family, well, you're being selfish and you won't survive. So you can imitate Baruch by not sending your children to higher education.
You parents must also make personal decisions about secular education for your children. Naturally, you want them to get a good education, but you have to think carefully about potential dangers. For example, in some countries, parents send their young children away to boarding schools.
He talks about boarding schools for a while, but he's using boarding schools just as a dog whistle for higher education because he literally equates them both. Boarding schools don't necessarily provide higher education even, and higher education doesn't exclusively happen in boarding schools. Also, I rather get sent to a boarding school than to a homeschool, which Jehovah's Witnesses love. But that way, he can talk about the dangers of boarding schools to convince Jehovah's Witnesses that higher education is wrong. And he is going to berate higher education anyway.
Let's consider one more situation. You younger Christians approaching adulthood must make decisions involving education and employment. There may be many choices, but which ones will help you live up to your dedication to Jehovah? One sister said this, "As a baptized witness, I had read and heard about the dangers of pursuing university education, but I dismissed such warnings. I thought that counsel did not apply to me." Well, our sister made a personal choice in the matter, but was it a wise one? She continues, "Studying for my courses took so much time and effort that I was too busy to linger in prayer to Jehovah the way I used to, too exhausted to enjoy Bible discussions with others, and too tired to prepare well for the meetings. Thankfully, once I realized that being immersed in higher education was damaging my relationship with Jehovah, I knew I had to stop. And I did."
So higher education is bad because you might find it hard to study a career while also doing the things that this cult wants you to do. Some people theorize that maybe after Tony Morris left the governing body, this religion would tacitly allow members to go to college. But the message is clear. You can do it, but it's a personal decision, which means that they're not going to force you to do what they want you to do. They're just going to look down on you if you do what they don't want you to do. They even made a section reaching young people to tell them the same thing.
When I was 16, I was about to leave high school. Many of my schoolmates were planning to study at university and would say things like, "I want to go to this school. Which one are you going to?" I felt a lot of pressure to get a higher education. My teachers told me that I needed to continue my studies if I really wanted to make money.
Not anymore. Everyone nowadays has higher education degrees and we're still heading towards a recession. But this is how Jehovah's Witnesses want people inside the cult to feel. Like every comment about going to university is actually peer pressure applied it to you so you can focus on making money rather than serving God. This is obviously nothing but projection. If the cult didn't have volunteers that choose to spend their lives giving free work for the cult, then the cult wouldn't be able to make money. So they need to be peer pressured into working for free for the cult. They are literally complaining that people talk about university, and that's pressure, when they've dedicated half of this broadcast to pressure listeners into not getting higher education?
What helped you make a good decision?
I spoke with my mom about what I should do. She helped me to think about some of the dangers I would be exposed to at university.
And look at all of these dangerous things that you can find in university. Some guys smoking cigarettes at the lawn with the guy's feet being melted into grass. You can tell it's cigarettes because if it was a joint, then they would be rolling it around and they wouldn't be smoking it in campus because that's still illegal. Also, this is very clearly a nicotine vaporizer. Some guys are looking here at a computer and you know that they're not watching JW Broadcasting. They're probably watching adult content. You know how there's nothing like getting hard with the homies. Then you have two guys holding skateboards and another one flying on a skateboard. I don't know why they're supposed to be on what I'm assuming is an university building's roof, especially because you can't really ride skateboards on buildings in campus like that. You can barely ride them in bike paths in between buildings. Now, you might think there's nothing wrong here, but have you seen how none of them are wearing helmets? Definitely whirly behavior. Then you have these two women dancing or something and a woman taking a selfie. Finding what's wrong with the selfie is obvious. She is using the millennial angle. But the other two women are harder, seriously. I get I'm making fun of what they're doing, but what are these ladies doing that is wrong exactly? Dancing while white? One of them looks like is protesting, but the other woman just looks like she's having a good time, encouraging you to do the same, giving you a thumbs up. Really, put in the comments what you think she's supposed to be doing that's wrong, because I am seriously stumped. I don't know what she's supposed to be doing that's wrong. And then you have the big three issues of getting higher education. Exposure to badly rolled joints, a wheat leaf, and some vitamins. Why is that leaf there? Do they think the leaves are the part of the plant that you smoke? Seriously though, how long are they going to be anti-weed? Are you really going to tell me that not even one member of the governing body gets high for some sort of medical reason? And look, I've been making fun of this drawing, but for real, from any of this, what exactly is going against the Bible? Which verse in the Bible prohibits you from being this guy over here, drinking a soda and smoking a cigarette while contemplating life? The most fundamentally religious of you might say that smoking can be damaging for your health, but this guy very clearly is fit and healthy. Do Jehovah's Witnesses avoid eating fast food because that's also detrimental to their health? Do they not eat nice, delicious pastries and desserts? What do you think it's worse, smoking every now and then, or being in a perpetual state of anxiety typical of members of high control groups? What do you think is worse overall for your health? We all do things that aren't completely healthy sometimes because, we all cope with life in different ways. And as long as we do it in moderation and we hurt nobody while doing it, there's usually absolutely nothing wrong with it. And definitely nothing in the Bible condemning it. And seriously, what is this girl doing?
I knew that if I studied at university, I would be losing valuable time during my youth. Time that I could be using for Jehovah.
This is the real reason why Jehovah's Witnesses don't want others to study in university. Because they would much rather use those young, energetic people to work for them, instead of having them learn critical thinking skills and then work for themselves. Young, ignorant, unquestioning, and energetic people make for amazing cult volunteers. And this religion has leveraged their free work for almost a century, with nothing to show for it, by the way. The important work that a Bethelite did 50 years ago is the old food of present Jehovah's Witnesses, rarely talked about and always forgotten. That is exactly what will soon happen to today's important work in this cult.
Jehovah answered my prayers. I was able to find part-time work teaching at a school, which allows me to be in full-time service, along with my husband.
Because of the flexibility I have with my work, I enjoy opportunities to participate in construction projects for the organization. I've seen clearly that by focusing on what's most important, Jehovah has blessed me.
You get blessed when you get jobs and assignments to do for no remuneration for the betterment of the cult. So if you don't go to college, you'll be more likely to have time to blissfully work for free for this cult. I often see any sort of positive mention of universities from Jehovah's Witnesses being taken by clickbaity YouTubers and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses to mean that this surely changed everything, and this cult will never be the same because they are lighting their load on their workers or whatever. But in reality, this cult loves to do double talk so they can point to the most innocuous version of their narrative when being questioned by external forces, while still maintaining a tight grip on people inside the cult who know what's actually expected of them. This cult will not allow higher education as long as it teaches you critical thinking skills and as long as it takes you away from doing as much free work for this cult as possible. Allowing higher education would be fumbling the bag, and the governing body will never allow anything to risk between this cult and its profitability. But that's all for now. You can watch my next video on this month's JW Broadcasting over at Patreon or by becoming a YouTube supporter like these guys over here. Also, consider getting an apostate t-shirt that has already made Jehovah's Witnesses angry both in real life and in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you reach the end of this video, but only if you reach the end of this video. If you didn't, you're not allowed to subscribe.